Hello and welcome to the gates of Bede's world. I'm stood here on a rather sunny afternoon, not at all like it was yesterday when I came here, to tell you a little bit about the closure of this site. You may have noticed that in recent days on our Facebook page we've been sharing links to articles about and, for example, Facebook groups protesting the closure of Bede's world. Now, some of you may be wondering, what is Bede's world? Well, as the name implies, it is a museum, a living farm and a site of special historical interest connected to the Venerable Bede, the so-called father of English history. This monastic member of a monastic community lived and worked actually just down the hill from where I'm currently standing, and is really a towering figure in the intellectual history of Europe. The community itself was actually started by Benedict Biscop, a chap who wanted to build in the so-called Roman style, that is to say, build in stone, and they achieved that. They also achieved, for example, a reawakening of the working of glass. Proto-stained glass windows were being made here in the Saxon world in the northeast of England. This spot on the south bank of the River Tyne, not too far from Jarrow, has long resonated with these wonderful achievements. But recently it closed. A few days ago, unfortunately, the decision was taken to close the site. Now, this is tied up with various complicated factors, partly to do with funding shortfalls. Some people have been pointing the finger in terms of interesting managerial decisions, and others still have been suggesting that actually the site simply isn't fit for purpose. They've been jumping on it as an opportunity to try and promote their own, for example, workshops or whatever. But I think all of that is really the noise surrounding what should be a much more important moment, something which should be treated much more solemnly, and that is a full stop in a very long, more than 1,000-year-old story for this site. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is so that you can read some of the articles that I'll put in the video information below, and perhaps sign the petition if you feel as though this site is important enough to warrant your attention, and also, I suppose, do what you can to support the campaigns which are trying to keep this site as a focused centre for learning about the Saxon world. Some people go so far as to call Bede, and to a certain extent Bede's world and the monastery down there, the cradle of Englishness. Now, being a Welshman, I do sort of go, but at the same time, I can see where they're coming from. This is a very important spot and well worth supporting. There is currently a plan in the offing, sort of in the early stages from the local council, to potentially hand the site over to a fairly general management company, people who connect, for example, environmental groups with business groups, with personal training, this kind of thing. And if that was to happen, I think Bede's world would lose some of its magic. This site really should be a charismatic and attractive and well-visited museum, teaching the world about the legacy of Saxon Northumbria. And if it changes direction now, one has to wonder whether it'll ever actually recover. So I'm not going to rabbit on about this too much. You know my love of the Saxon world and the Vikings, those of you who watch these videos frequently. But beyond simple passion for the past, this site is also a site of training and employment for so many people. And it would be a shame to see it closed so, I suppose, easily, so quickly, so like the lightning, as Juliet says. This is also actually part of a broader issue in Britain at the moment, especially in the north of England, especially in the northeast of England. Museums and sites of historical interest are under great threat because of the perceived necessity of funding cuts. What can we cut? People think, I know, culture, arts and history. But as Churchill said during the Second World War, what are we fighting for? What is society for if not to protect this stuff and learn about this stuff and come back to it again and again and have access to it? So there you go. I'm not going to go on too much more about this, but do read the links below, have a look at the articles, do support in any way that you can. Consider joining the Facebook group which has been set up to try and keep this museum open in some form. And crucially, I suppose, share as well. Share the articles around. Share this video if you want. Let people know that this is happening, because Bede's World is a small museum, but it could be a small and perfectly formed museum still, and I believe that passionately. Anyway guys, as ever, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.